Hello. I just want to quickly introduce my family members. So pan over.
Yep. Hi.
Hi, hey, this is Joe Dad, who is uncle.
Just not hi. You can just say hi.
Go.
Hi, I'm Auntie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, and then.
All right, and I'm behind the camera,
Yeah,
so
okay.
this is free speech.
All right. So, as you all know, COVID has changed our life a lot over the past 2 years. We've had to adjust in how we work, how we interact socially, and how we learn. But not all of the impacts of COVID has been negative. In fact, in the area of education, e-learning has actually been a positive. And I'm just going to go over briefly a few explanations for why that's the case. First thing I want to introduce about e-learning is its convenience. Now, teachers and students have to have much less time devoted to traveling. They can just access their classes online through e-learning, so that saves a lot more time. In addition, lesson plan distribution is much easier. With sites like Canvas, students have whole lesson plans at their fingertips and can easily access any materials that lecturers would like to provide them. Thirdly, with the rise of VODs and recorded classroom lectures, there's no longer a pressure to sort of absorb everything in a physical classroom setting. Rather, if you miss something, you can just go back to a classroom recording and just take over the lecture there. That way you can fully master the material. E-learning has also caused costs to go down for education. For instance, you no longer need to live close to your institution in order to learn. You can just access the lesson virtually, so you can stay at home instead of moving to like a city and like renting out a really high-priced apartment. You also don't need to purchase as much material nowadays. There's no need for traditional textbooks or notebooks or as many pens or pencils. Instead, you can just use ebooks and word processors like Microsoft Word or Google Docs in order to take part in learning. You also have less need of as much staff. For instance, I went to a public university, and whenever I took a basic science course, it was always in a class of like 800, and we would always be divvied up to teacher assistants. However, with e-learning, it's more of a do-it-by-yourself approach, so you don't need to hire as many TAs in order to monitor the class. The most important part about e-learning, though, is their accessibility, both to disabled individuals and non-traditional students. By non-traditional students, I mean working students or stay-at-home mom or dads. These people aren't typically able to attend a 10:30 class in the university. However, with the do-it-by-yourself program and sort of work at your own pace style of e-learning, these students can take control of their education in their own hands. Also, individuals' conditions like social anxiety or autism find much less triggers in a virtual classroom than in the physical space. Of course, traditionally disabled students, such as those with lupus or spinal disorders, who have difficulty entering physical classrooms, can find ease and convenience in e-learning as well as individuals with auditory disorders, who can use things like text-to-speech, transcripts, or closed captions in order to further their education. In conclusion, even though COVID's been pretty terrible and a pretty unfortunate event both here and abroad, there have been positives that come out of it. And with the benefits that e-learning have provided during these trying times, we can see that it has a permanent place in our education fixture. And though it's a long ways away from replacing traditional education, it's definitely here to stay. Thank you very much for your time.
Good.